Donald Trump was standing next to Kid Rock at a disastrous Oval Office press conference where Donald Trump started talking about how somebody called him kind, he said, and he said that's such an interesting word, the word kind. He really never heard the word kind before. Here, play this clip.
Mr. President, you met with the chairman.
Somebody said that about me the other day. He said, who doesn't know me very well, they said, "You're such a kind person." And I said, "Say that again." They said, "You're a kind person." I said, "I've never heard that before." It was a weird statement. I was kind.
Who said that?
I've heard of words that, I don't know, I better not tell you. You know, I've been called a lot of things, but it's sort of a different kind of a word. It's like an old-fashioned word, isn't it?
Mr. President, you met with...
It's good to know as Donald Trump is destroying our economy, destroying people's Medicaid and Social Security, destroying the lives of veterans, and engaging in a hostile takeover of the federal government. He's also lying and saying somebody's calling him kind and musing about what an interesting word that is. Then Donald Trump, from this disastrous Oval Office press conference with Kid Rock, starts spreading Putin talking points, and he starts saying that one of the reasons that Putin unlawfully invaded Ukraine, he doesn't use those words though, is he basically blames it on NATO. Play this clip.
And what happens is we made a deal for rare earth. It was all done. And I heard through you, I haven't spoken to them yet, but through you, I heard that they're now saying, well, I'll only do that deal if we get into NATO or something to that effect. Well, that was never, number one, discussed. Number two, I think it's going to be very long before Putin. They said, you're not going into NATO. And it could be, that's probably the reason the war started, actually.
We're hours away from a very special...
Donald Trump is then asked about the 4 American soldiers who lost their lives in Lithuania. Donald Trump is describing what took place, and he describes them as driving a truck that's kind of like a toy truck, he says, and you'll notice that he doesn't express any sympathy for the loss of lives, and he just describes it with a really bizarre way. Here, play this clip.
Mr. President, have you had any updates on the U.S. soldiers missing in Lithuania?
I have.
Can you give us an update?
So 3 are no longer with us, and 1 is unfortunately probably in the same category, but they haven't declared that yet. It was a very heavy truck, like a toy, but I mean, really heavy, that lifted the heaviest equipment. And it would seem that the bank of the lake collapsed. You know, the weight is so big. And it was at night, and it was very cold weather, and ice, a lot of ice. And it's possibly slipped, and the weight is so enormous of this thing. It's a massively heavy vehicle. And if they slipped a little bit, it's probably what happened, and it flipped. And 3 are gone, and 1 is missing.
On a separate topic.
Then from the Oval Office, again, how despicable is that? I mean, show some sympathy, show some empathy as you're describing what's taking place, and you call it like a toy truck. What are you talking about? Then from the Oval Office, Donald Trump talks about the Wisconsin Supreme Court case, or Supreme Court race that's scheduled for April 1st. And Donald Trump says that you need to vote Republican. And again, he's campaigning from the Oval Office for the MAGA Doge candidate, Brad Schimmel. Let's play this clip.
Well, it's a big race, Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. It's taking place essentially as you know, it was early voting, so we'll see what happens. It's a big race. I love Wisconsin. We won Wisconsin. Republicans typically don't do very well in Wisconsin, but I did. I actually won it twice. I actually probably won it 3 times, to be exact.
We played their side.
Not probably. I won it 3 times. We had a rigged election the second time, but that's, you know, one of those things. We had to make this one too big to rig. Would you agree with that, Brian?
Yes,
too big
sir.
to rig?
Yes, sir.
So anyway, but yeah, there's a big race, and I hope you get out and vote for the Republican. The woman is a radical left lunatic.
Donald Trump is asked about what's going to happen on April 2nd, which he refers to as Liberation Day, where he's imposing tariffs on every country in the world, which is just further going to destroy our economy here. And he's asked, is it going to be universal tariffs, individual tariffs on a country by country basis? Trump's answer is, I don't know. You'll see. You'll see. Here, play this clip.
Are you going to move ahead with a universal tariff or different individual tariff rates on a whole variety of different
Well, you're going to see in 2 days, which is maybe tomorrow night or probably Wednesday, you're going to see. And they're reciprocal. So whatever they charge us, we charge them, but we're being nicer than they were.
Donald Trump is then asked about the relationship between Tiger Woods and his son, Don Jr.'s ex-wife, Vanessa. And Donald Trump blames the divorce of Vanessa and Don Jr. on Russia hoax. He says, that's what he says in this press conference. Play this clip.
I love this one.
Go ahead.
It's not front page news, but I am just curious. What is your thought about Tiger Woods now becoming part of the broader Trump family?
Well, I love Tiger and I love Vanessa, and they had a great relationship. I happen to think the relationship with my son, I happen to think the relationship was hurt very badly by the witch hunt that went on, Russia, and all the crap that they put Don through.
By the way, here you can see Kid Rock again at this bizarre Oval Office press conference, and Donald Trump with Kid Rock next to him, dressed in whatever the heck Kid Rock is wearing. They talk about what a great car Tesla is, and then they try to sell Teslas from the Oval Office. Play this clip.
So you recently bought a Tesla for White House staff to use, but now there's all these domestic terrorists targeting Teslas. Are the staff scared to drive it?
I don't think so. I haven't heard. They weren't complaining. I did buy one, and I let the staff use it. We have it parked conveniently, and one day we give it to Margot, one day we give it to Chamberlain, give it to Natalie, we give it to everybody around.
As Anna Navarro Cardenas says, waiting to hear from the people who thought Zelensky disrespected the Oval Office with his choice of clothes. As you know, Anna, you're not going to be hearing from the hypocritical MAGA Republicans. Donald Trump then continues to talk about Tesla, and he continues to refer to it as Tesla, and he says that Elon Musk has been treated so bad, and he repeats Tesla over and over again, about 3 times. Here, play this clip.
He's got, despite the way he's been treated, so he's an American patriot, but the way he's been treated with Tesla is just terrible. It's just terrible.
Once he goes
In fact, you have a Tesla, and you love it. You love it. He was saying before he bought a Tesla, he loved it. A lot of people are buying Teslas, I think, and I hope they are. He should not be treated that way. He's done an incredible service to our country.
But once he goes back, is Doge going to keep operating?
Donald Trump is then asked about Elon Musk leaving Doge and what's going to happen to Doge. Donald Trump gives a rambling word salad answer. That's hard to even understand what he's talking about. Play this clip.
But once he goes back, is Doge going to keep operating even without Elon here?
Well, I can't tell you that. I can say this, that a lot of the people that are working with Doge are the secretaries, and, the heads of the various agencies, and they've learned a lot, and they're dealing with the Doge people. I think some of them may try and keep the Doge people with them, but, at a certain point, I think it will end. But they have also...
The next clip I'm about to share with you from this awful press conference, Donald Trump starts talking about Qatar, and he says Qatar, and he's very fascinated by how he used to pronounce it, and he used to say Qatar, and now he says Qatar, and he's like, wow, look at what I'm saying. Here, play this clip.
So we'll probably stop at UAE and Qatar, and as I used to call it, Qatar. Nobody's ever told me right or wrong. I always like to say Qatar, but it's Qatar. They like to say Qatar. And Saudi Arabia, the 3 of them, and then we'll go other places also. But in the Middle East, those seem to be the 3.
As I mentioned again, this is a very bizarre and strange press conference. As our economy is tanking, as economists predict that the United States is heading into a recession or even worse with economic contraction, stagflation, this is what Donald Trump is doing. Trump is also asked about whether it was ICE agents or DOJ agents who were wearing hoodies who kidnapped Rumisa Ozturk, the Tufts PhD student who wrote some papers that were critical of Israel. And as a result, they kidnapped her. They haven't charged her with any crime. They haven't provided due process. And they asked Donald Trump about this, and he basically dodges the question and says he doesn't know anything about it. Play this clip.
And did you see the video of the Tufts University student who was taken off the street by ICE agents last week in hoodies and masks? There's been a lot of criticism of that. Are you comfortable with how that was handled?
Well, I haven't really looked at it in any detail, but I will. I mean, I have seen it quickly, but not. I wouldn't want to comment on it. Yeah, please.
Yeah. What do you know? I mean, a lot of his answer, I don't know. I don't know this. I don't know that. I don't know this. And then he goes, but the word kind, it's an interesting old-fashioned word, like groceries. Groceries. Have you heard the word groceries or kind before? I mean, again, could you imagine if anybody else was in the Oval Office saying these things? And I bet you the corporate news doesn't even really cover this, and they'll focus on, well, on the one hand, Donald Trump says it's Liberation Day. Could that be good for the country? No, it's going to be an absolute disaster. And he's here in the Oval Office with Kid Rock talking about the most heinous and despicable things. Donald Trump is asked another question about Elon Musk's tenure coming to an end. And here's what Donald Trump says. Let's play it.
Elon Musk's special government tenure is coming to an end, 130 days, I think another month. Yeah. Do you want him to stay longer, or is it time for him to go back to running his companies in Europe?
Well, I think he's amazing, but I also think he's got a big company to run. And so at some point he's going to be going back. He wants to.
You want to keep him around?
But I'd keep him as long as I could keep him. He's a very talented guy. I love very smart people. He's very smart. And he's done a good job. Doge is, we found numbers that nobody can even believe, like 400 billion, 500 billion. It could be close to $1 trillion by the time they end on different things. And he's led the charge. And you've seen a lot of his people. And these are people that joined up. I would say the high IQ people. I like high IQ people. And they've done a great job. No, at some point, Elon's going to want to go back to his company. I will say he's got, despite the way he's been treated, so he's an American patriot.
Trump is then asked about 17 additional individuals who were sent to El Salvador after the federal court issued recently, after the federal judge issued an injunction stopping the kidnapping of migrants and sending them to El Salvador. And I guess what the Trump regime is trying to argue is they did this outside of the Alien Enemies Act, and they did not go through Donald Trump's declaration of war powers, but they sent them to El Salvador through other processes. And here's what Donald Trump says in response. And he says that he really didn't discuss this with anybody from his team. No discussions about this, apparently. Play this clip.
It was a great election, yeah.
Mr. President, the U.S. military transferred 17 individuals to El Salvador overnight. Did you discuss with your team whether these deportations would run afoul of any recent court orders?
No, I do want to thank, however, the president. He has been unbelievable and, in relation to us. But I think that our people have done an incredible job. I got elected on the basis of getting bad people out of our country that shouldn't be here, very dangerous people out of our country. And that's what I did. And then you have a judge that wants to take over. And I can't imagine it can be allowed. If it was up to him, they'd all be put back in our country. And these are killers. These are drug lords. These are really bad people. But I want to thank the president of El Salvador because he's done an amazing job. You saw it. Yeah.
Now, as I've said before, and let me repeat it again, we all want to make sure that actual gang members, that actual Tren de Aragua are taken off the street. That's undisputed. What we've also said is that there needs to be some sort of due process to make sure that the individuals who are being sent to El Salvador concentration camps, first and foremost, have some due process. We should then get into the area if this is even legal to be sent to El Salvador in the first place. But we're hearing lots of stories from people who are clearly not Tren de Aragua, but who have been kidnapped because they had tattoos that said mom or dad or Real Madrid tattoos, or someone who had an autism awareness tattoo, non-gang members, no criminal record. They were here as lawful asylum seekers, and they were sent to concentration camps in El Salvador with zero due process at all to prove that they weren't gang members. In my view, call me old-fashioned, but I believe in something called the Constitution, and I believe in due process. Trump is then asked again about, would you run for a third term, which is non-constitutional, and they're basically just asking him, and they're trying to, the way they're even framing this question is normalizing it. What they're asking him is, are you going to be a dictator and violate the Constitution? And here's what Donald Trump says. Play this clip.
This other story, I know it's hypothetical right now, but if you were allowed for some reason to run for a third term, is there a thought that the Democrats could try to run Barack Obama against you?
I'd love that.
For his third term?
Boy, I'd love that. That would be a good one. I'd like that. No, people are asking me to run, and there's a whole story about running for a third term. I don't know. I never looked into it. They do say there's a way you can do it, but I don't know about that. But I have not looked into it. I want to do a fantastic job. We have 4 years, just about, almost close to 4 years. Time is flying, but it's still close to 4 years. And we're getting a lot of credit for having done a great job in the first almost 100 days.
And as Yasemin Ansari explains, the economy is tanking. Veterans are being illegally fired from their jobs. Social security offices are being closed. Highly classified war plans are being casually texted out. Yet Donald Trump is focused on how he can further erode the Constitution to be a dictator. Got it. That's what was going on in the Oval Office today. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers. Thank you for watching.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.